Five, four, three, two, one. What's going on, party people? It's your boy C Tech coming to you with episode number 5 of the Grindin' Jiu Jitsu podcast. And today I'm going down memory lane with this good, handsome fella named Mr. Sean Ryan. What's going on,
Woo.
Sean?
Dude, it's been a hot minute, bro. Like, it's good to see you, dude. It's definitely good
Dude,
to see you.
we have not seen each other in at least 7, 8 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Only
It's
only on Instagram or talking
Yep.
on Facebook.
I mean,
So
but that's the way it is sometimes. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We're across the country. We're across the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
A little bit of backstory. So while I'm going down memory lane, one of the most influential training partners I've ever had is this gentleman right here. When I walked into those doors in 10th Planet Orange, this guy befriended me from day one, trained with me almost every single day, whipped
hmm
my ass, and I whipped his ass back and
Yes.
forth
Yes.
every freaking day for a whole year. And dude,
Mhm.
it is so good to see that you're still progressing in jiu-jitsu, and now you're even teaching at 10 Planet
Mhm.
Orange, correct?
Irvine. Yeah, yeah.
Irvine,
So, yeah,
Irvine.
yeah.
Still the
Yeah.
same community, still
Yeah, yeah, it's
Monster
just the
Squad.
same thing. Orange County. Yeah, you're good.
Dude, how are you? How is everything? Please give me a little rundown on how
Dude.
what have I missed in the last 7 years, dude?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been a wild journey, right? Like, I tell everybody, I just got my brown belt. I tell everybody, I'm like, hey, it's not about how good you are. It's just if you just keep coming, right? Like, yeah, sure, I could say I'm talented, but like at the same time, there were people that, back when me and you were training, there were people that were just like barn beaters, right? Like just straight up, they'd smoke us, and like we don't see them anymore. They're not here, like
That's true.
it's it's like it's about you just staying there, you just keep working on it, and you're gonna be there, right? But yeah, man, I've been training all over Orange County, doing all that fun stuff, doing a little bit commentating too, with EBI qualifiers and things like that. So it's been a great ride. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw you on the qualifiers talking, I was like, I know him. You and Scott.
Yes, yes,
You and
yeah,
Scott.
yeah.
And
hmm
Scott we go back also, and he was one of the other it was like I'm gonna say it was a trio, because it was
hmm
always us three
Yep.
getting it in, freaking
hmm
grinding. We were leaving the mats with blood. And
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, we
dude.
got after it. Yeah.
And
It's
and and look at us now.
Yeah, I know. You're teaching now too, man.
I'm
Like
teaching.
that's
I'm teaching now. 6 a.m.s, baby. 6
dude.
a.m. goon time.
Oh man, that's sleepy time for me. That's me. I'm still in bed for sure. That's another animal though. Like that's the people that do 6 a.m.s. I'm like, you're world class, because like I'm not there. I'm just not. I like my sleep.
I have to be honest. Like at
Mm,
first, I was like, you know what? I need to start teaching. You know what I mean? Like I
hmm
really love jujitsu, but every time I went to jujitsu, you have all the higher belts there, so everybody asks them questions.
Yeah,
And of
yeah,
course, they have
yeah.
their wealth of knowledge. They're so much more experienced than I, so I'm like, you know what? I ask them questions myself.
Yeah.
So when they actually say, "Hey, CTEC, are you able to teach the 6 a.m. class, or are you interested in it?" And I was like, you know what? Absolutely, because this is gonna be my foot in the door to start trying to see if this is what I'm good at. Like, am I good
hmm
at teaching? Is it true that your jujitsu gets better when you
hmm
start teaching? And man, like it like totally opened my eyes. Now I'm looking at more video, more instructionals, and now I'm like,
hmm
oh man, you know what? I taught this today. Now I'm gonna try this tomorrow, and see if we can make a sequence. Dude, it is so good.
Yeah.
What about your experience in teaching? How long you
It's
been teaching for?
I mean, so I started helping out before lockdown happened. I was kind of Wes's right hand man at Irvine. Like whenever he would need something, I would help him and everything like that. And then I came back into Irvine, and so I've been teaching there. Just it's honestly like I'm his assistant, right? So if he needs me to run the whole class, I'll run the whole class. You know what I mean? So it's definitely his gym. It's his go, but I'm there if he needs me, kind of deal. So I would say that's about 2 years now, solid, just 2 years of doing that. And I gotta admit, man, like teaching is it's a whole nother art. You know, a lot of people they're like, oh, I'm good at jujitsu, and then like they try to teach you something. You're like, dude, I don't understand a word you're saying, bro. Like
Can
you're
you
making
slow down for me?
yeah, you went too far down that rabbit hole, right? Like, bro, like give me a lifeline, you know? So most importantly, what it's taught me is slow down, right? Like you've got to just even how you talk is just like, oh yeah, you just go into Ashi and then like you got the, blah blah blah, and you're like, and then you just look up and everyone's giving you that like blank stare. They're just like,
Oh, you
uh
Trevi.
what's Ashi? Yeah, and you're like, dude, come on. But yeah, just slow down. Like, and it's okay if you repeat yourself. It's okay if they don't understand. That was the biggest thing that I had to deal with, where it's like, if they don't understand, what did I do wrong? It's like, no, I remember when like Coach Ron, who's a black belt, who's been doing this for 30 plus years, he would say
Ron
something I
Turner.
wouldn't understand. Yeah, Ron Turner. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like he would say something and I wouldn't understand when I was first starting out. And it's not because he was bad at teaching. It was because I literally didn't know jujitsu yet. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's a good checks and balances on you. It's like, yeah, no, you know your stuff. And like, yeah, you can translate that into them learning too. So yeah, it's a whole new art. It really is.
Dude, that's a great perspective. That's a
Hmm.
great perspective. But I have to ask,
Hmm.
how that so if those who don't know, Sean also had a podcast, and
Hmm.
I used to listen to this podcast every day called
Hmm.
Casually Sean or Casually Talk. What was
Casually
it?
speaking. Casually speaking.
Casually
Yep.
Speaking
Yep.
by Sean Ryan. And
Hmm.
dude, that podcast, I felt like it was well done,
Hmm.
well put together. Is it still going on or
No, no. It's
no?
honest, and it's just because time. It's just time,
Okay. Okay.
and it's also too. It's like I want to kind of pass that torch and like have like people like you like start up the podcast and like start making those jujitsu podcasts. So, but yeah, like it was a passion project of mine. My biggest goal was I wanted to make a podcast for all the teachers, so that a new student would hear about my podcast and be like, "Oh, Sean Ryan's kind of cool. He has a podcast." And then he would see all the teachers in Orange County and like just pick and choose, like, "Oh, these are great people." Because that was the biggest thing for me was when I first started out. You see these black belts, these absolute killers. I know you just had Mike John on. I have a great story about Mike John. When
We'll
he
hear
first
it.
started fundamentals, this was right after his fight where he dislocated a fool's arm. Like he went for a Kimura and just ripped it right out of his socket. And I was like, that's gonna be my coach, that animal. Like that monster is gonna be my coach. But like Mike John's the sweetest dude on the planet. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
just wanted that. That was my mission statement. And I got that done. I'm like, we're done. We're good. Yeah.
Oh, dude, Mike John is world class. He's such a good
Hmm.
dude. Along
Yeah.
with all the instructors, Wes, Isaac, and Coach R and John Cho. And I'm gonna get John Cho on. I gotta speak to him. I haven't reached out yet, but I will.
Yeah.
Um, on top, so piggybacking off of this podcast that is no longer happening, you start
Hmm.
announcing
Hmm.
for the qualifiers.
Yeah.
How does Eddie hear about you? Okay, that's how
Yeah.
does Eddie hear about you? Two, how does
Hmm.
Scott get in this? Because I'm
Hmm.
like, I haven't heard Scott in a while. Like, I
Hmm.
follow you guys on Instagram and social media, and I never
Yeah.
really saw him put out a video. So I'm like, wow, he's very charismatic too. Like, whoa,
Hmm.
where is this coming from? So
Yeah.
how did that start?
So Scott and I have been trying to make like something happen together because we've got that. I think we've got that it factor, right? Like we've got that we just
Dynamic duo.
bounce. Yeah, yeah. We just
Yeah.
bounce off each other, and like we were like, man, we need to like do something here. And it actually just turned out that 10th Planet Network like sent out like the bat signal of like, hey, we need commentators. Our people just dropped out. We need people. And I was like, Scott, let's put our money where our mouth is. I'm gonna message him. And dude, I was aggressive. I was like, if you want entertainment, if you want people that are knowledgeable, and you actually want people that are actually engaged with the commentary, pick us. Pick us. You're not gonna go wrong. And even Scott was like, dude, and I'm like, we either go hard or we don't. We just
Go
do
hard or
it.
go home, Scott.
Yeah, exactly. And sure enough, we showed up, and I think we did a great job. Like, because our philosophy with commentators is no dissing everybody that's getting paid for it, because I'm not. But I'm like, listen, if we want to get jujitsu out to the masses, is we need to talk to the boyfriends and girlfriends of the people that do jujitsu that don't.
Yep.
That's the key. Is it's like we need to make it entertaining for them so that they're like, oh, so it's not just two dudes rolling around together in tights. Like, okay, like we need to. I'm honestly of the philosophy of we need to stop whispering when we do commentary. We need to yell like WWE superstars. Like we need to just be like, oh my god, it came out of
The Joe
nowhere.
Rogan experience.
Yes, exactly.
That's how it
Yeah,
has to happen.
it's got to be that way. And I'm like, that's how we're gonna make it exciting, because jujitsu is already exciting. When I first saw EBI, that's what got me into jujitsu. Like I literally, first off, when I first saw my first EBI, I literally thought everybody in that was in 10th Planet because they were wearing no gi. That's how little I knew. I was like, oh, it's Eddie Bravo Invitational. Eddie Bravo does 10th Planet. I got to go to a 10th Planet. Like this is legit. But for other people, it's like you need to have that hype. You need to have that hype. No more competitions where everyone's quiet. If
Yeah.
it's televised, if there's cameras, people in the crowd, I'm going to tell this on this podcast here. If you're in the crowd, you need to yell. You need to like get into it.
Hype it up.
And
Yep.
because like the qualifiers, they do that, right? And it's bananas. Like everyone's screaming, everyone's yelling, and it's like, so that's how I got into it. I literally just put my money where my mouth is. I was like, look, I see all these issues with commentary. I know how to fix them. I'm going to do it, and pick me, and we'll go from there. So, yeah.
Dude. All right. So that's a gift and a curse when it's a loud room, okay? Because
Yeah.
my first super fight was something
Hmm.
called Grappling Idiots.
Hmm.
And
Like that.
Keith Kokorian was on it.
Hmm.
One of the Tackett brothers was on it. Like it had some names on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like third, fourth fight in
Hmm.
blue belt versus a purple belt from Henzo Gracie, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And it was quiet. And I kept my composure. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay. As soon as he said go and everybody started yelling, I
Yeah.
embarrassed myself in front of JT Torres, dude.
Oh.
Like JT Torres is freaking sitting court side or mat
Hmm.
side,
Yeah.
and I was doing good. I was playing lockdown. I got out. I swept and blah 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 blah. I get freaking tossed and Americana'd.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a 5 minute round. It was like 4 minutes in. So I almost made it the whole thing. And then
Hmm.
in front of JT Torres. And I'm like, why when everybody started yelling, the room started to get really hot. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't even breathe. Like,
Hmm.
but that goes to show, but entertainment value. What
Hmm.
are the viewers really looking at? Like, why is that exciting? Why is this
Yeah.
Kimura trap? Everybody's going, ooh,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes total
Yeah.
sense.
It's
Oh
not golf.
man.
It's not golf.
It's not
Like
golf. You're right.
it's we are two people. People are like, oh, is it a fight, or is it not a fight? Is it a competition? Whatever. It's a scrap. I know that much. It's definitely a scrap when it's a competition. So we need to behave as such, where it's just like there's moments where you need to pop off. Like someone's down deep into a guillotine and they escape. It's like, dang, we need to celebrate that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
way people understand what's going on. Yeah. So I mean, I get it. When I competed, I'll tell you, since you showed me yours, I'll show you mine here. So I was in a competition once. This is back when I was a blue belt, and I was 135 back then. I was a small little dude. Like that.
Oof.
It was when right before you met me. So yeah, I was like 145 when you met me. Um, so I was competing, and Josh Barnett comes into the gym, and I'm like, Josh Barnett, the UFC legend. I love this guy. He is one of my heroes. And he comes into the gym. I'm like, man, who is he cornering? Sure enough, the guy who I'm fighting, he's cornering him. And then and the guy that I'm fighting, or I'm competing against, is wearing a singlet. Bro, when they're wearing a singlet in a competition, you know you're in trouble. Like
They're
you already
wrestling.
know. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, this sucks. So we start off standing. And then I hear, because it's quiet, Josh Barnett goes, hey, don't worry about his stand up. It sucks. And I'm like, my hero just told me my stand up sucks. Oh,
You're a 10th Planet guy. It makes
bro,
sense.
bro, I was ripped up. I already lost. I already lost I lost. I was done. I was done for. My heart tapped out for me. Um, but I had a little bit of issue with that. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna keep
Going in.
standing up. I'm just gonna keep doing it. This freak of a guy, so I do a standing guillotine. He picks me up by his neck and then slams me and then does an Americana because that hurt really bad. Um, but I was like, insult to injury. I lost the match, and Josh Barnett thinks my stand up sucks. You can't win
You
them all. You can't win them.
win them
Don't meet
all.
your heroes. Don't meet them. That's the moral of the story. Don't meet them. Don't meet them.
If we're talking about meeting heroes, I always looked up to Cyborg,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. Always looked up to Cyborg because for some reason, I always thought if I ever got strong and muscular, I'm gonna
Hmm.
be a cyborg, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I go into, I think it was a grappling industries,
Mm,
and I go against one of his blue belts, and he's cornering the blue belt,
yeah.
and his blue belt's whipping my ass. I'm talking about whipping my ass, right? And gi, this is in gi, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's working on a cross collar choke, and I'm like, yo, I have to pull something out of the hat. And then Cyborg says, he's almost done.
Oh.
I said, excuse me? I held my gi as hard as I could. And when you cross your feet, the dude
Yeah.
crossed his feet in a
Ooh.
back mount. So what do
Yeah.
you think I
Yep.
did?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You just ripped that. Yep.
I
Yep.
ripped that thing left, split apart. The
Yeah.
dude taps, screams for mercy, and then I go up and I shake his hand, and he goes, "What did he catch him with?" I said, "I broke his ankle."
Yeah. With some white belt shit, by the way. I had some th-
100%.
I wasn't done. I wasn't done.
Fuck
Dude,
that.
hell yeah. Yeah.
I love you, Cyborg, but fuck that shit. You
Fuck
deserve
that.
you deserve that L. Just saying. Just saying.
Hell yeah.
So Sean,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
now that so I'm this is a great fucking podcast already. I love this shit. Um, so now that you announced for the qualifiers, like
Mhm.
have you been trying to branch out and get some more commentating gigs, or like
Yeah, yeah. I've been trying. I've been trying. So like with qualifiers, here's the thing though. There's a
there's a
wizard out there called
yeah,
Brandon McCaffrin who,
yeah,
if he
come
says he's
on,
gonna commentate,
BMAC
I'm
baby,
I'm
you're
out. I'm
done.
out.
Yeah,
I'm not as
yeah,
popular.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but I will say though, like, if anybody has a competition and I hear about it, like I will reach out to them and be like, hey, if you need commentators, like I got myself, I got my boy Scott with me, and it's gonna be a good time. I promise you. Like we're honing that craft of just making it, and it's not about me. I don't care if I don't want to get famous. I want jujitsu to get famous. I want people to. Sorry, there's an ambulance that just went by. But I just want to. Someone
That's
heard
just the
that
fashion
I'm gonna.
police.
Yeah, someone heard I'm gonna go to class later tonight, so they're preemptively trying to heal toe holds. But no, like it's honestly like I just want jujitsu to be more recognized. I want it to get more, and it's on its way. Without me, it's on its way. But I think this sport is way too beautiful. Everybody thinks it's boring, and I'm like, it's not though. It really isn't. If people can get behind golf, if people can watch freaking what's that with the bean bags? Like that's a big old thing on YouTube right
Oh,
now.
hacky. Hold on. I got it because my all my neighbors play it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
oh my
what all the
god.
white boys do at barbecues, man. Like that,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
freaking where you toss it into the whole cornhole. If people
Cornhole.
if people can get behind cornhole, people can get behind jujitsu. Like I'm telling you, everyone's selling to jujitsu a little bit too short. They're just like, no, it's boring. Like in the UFC, when people lay down, people boo, and I'm all like, because it's the UFC, it's a different format,
Right.
different thing. If you put it in its own format, people are gonna like it. People are gonna love it. I promise you. Like it's there. We gotta do the things that other sports have seen to elevate that. You know what I mean? Like that's it. We've got our villains. We got our Gordon Rains. We got our heroes, our Craig Joneses. We've got all that. We just need to put it in a format where everyone like can digest it. That's it.
Yeah. No. 100%. Before we get to the highs and lows of jujitsu, what this
Mhm.
podcast is all about, I need to give a special shout out to Pressure Pass Pressure Washers, grappler owned. If you are in the Florida, Orlando, Greater Orlando area, please reach out to the podcast or on their Instagram, Pressure Pass Pressure Washing, for a free quote. And also Kojito Jiu Jitsu, because I love you guys and you let me
Ooh.
teach. I love you guys. Sean,
Yes.
this podcast is all about the highs and lows of jiu-jitsu. Of
Mhm.
jiu-jitsu. What
Jujitsu.
of jiu-jitsu? And it's a huge honor for me to ask this damn question. What is your high in jiu-jitsu?
Gosh. Honestly, like I wouldn't say it's like one single moment. There's a lot of different highs in jujitsu, but I will say the most consistent high is the community. Like I will die on this hill that the best people on the planet who stick through it, people like you and me, where we just stay friends for years. You know what I mean? Like that's my high. When I got my brown belt, I'm like, guys, this isn't just my brown belt. This is your guys' brown belt because without you guys, I wouldn't be here. And I really mean that of like the quality of people, right? Like my coaches, my training partners, they're all just solid people where it's like I feel like I let them down when I'm not there, you know. So that's why I'm there, you know. I would say that's going to be my biggest high. And of course, getting my brown belt, that was an experience that yeah, that's definitely a big high for sure. Like
Were you
that was
expecting it? Like, did you have an idea or it wasn't even like that?
it was so like you kind of get an idea a little bit because just like all of a sudden like people are rolling with you a little bit harder than they ever have before and you're like what's going on, like coach is watching you a little bit more than usual and you're like huh, but I was never explicitly told that I was getting it or anything. And I'm my worst critic because I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna get it, you know. But I did because I got it this year, and I did say at the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm not hunting for my brown belt, but I do want to be in a spot mentally that when I do get it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know, and when I got it, I was like, yeah, you're right. So,
And dude,
um,
a 10th planet brown
yeah,
belt, dude.
yeah.
Like, oh, it's just good to hear. It's such a wholesome moment, especially when all my friends, like,
Mhm.
they get that level up, and all everybody who I actually keep in contact are all humble. So to
Yeah.
see the most humble people get
Mhm.
promoted, it's just it's such a big accomplishment, first of all. But
Yeah.
second of all, it's something it's like a pride. Like, you know what? I know that motherfucker and he
Yeah.
is so fucking cool and he deserves that shit. And I'm so grateful that they gave it to him because they saw exactly what I saw. It is
Yeah.
such a beautiful moment, especially in
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, because I think promotions kind of there's some people who like promotions, there's some people who don't like promotions. Oh,
Mhm.
it's jiu-jitsu, the more you do jiu-jitsu the better you are, it doesn't matter about the belt. You're right, it doesn't matter about the belt. I get you 100%, but
Yeah.
we're human beings. Just
Mhm.
like you get a new job and you get that first raise, you feel appreciated. And
Yeah.
when jiu-jitsu, when you feel appreciated in your job, you work harder. So it's kind of like the same thing in jiu-jitsu. I feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, the belt doesn't matter, but when you get that belt, like, you appreciate that they think that you're deserving of this color that
Yeah.
you weren't before. So
Yeah.
it makes me work harder, and it
Yeah.
and it keeps me engaged, and it's like, hey, I need to live up to this, you
Yeah.
know?
I would say like that's the thing about like when you get those belts, like outside of jujitsu, it doesn't matter. Literally, like people don't even know what a brown belt is sometimes. They're like, what it so how far away from that from black belt is it? You know, and you're like, just one. Um, but like here's the thing though, is that when you get that new belt, you make it matter for yourself, right? Like when I got my blue belt, I'm like, you know what? I'm no longer a white belt anymore. Like I gotta make this happen. I gotta make this matter. I've got to go. And that was when I did my most competing was at blue belt. Partially because I was younger. um, And secondly too, it's like I need to, and it wasn't because I was never competing to be like, well, I need to prove that I'm a purple belt. It was just more of, this is the blue belt. I gotta show what they saw in me, you know? And then when I got my purple belt, like I was like, it was one of those things where I'm like, I need to show that I'm a better caliber than what I was at blue belt, you know? And everyone's belts mean differently. Like what your belt means to you means different to me. And it's funny, like it's one of those things that you have to just you have to keep checking yourself and living up to what your coach saw in you, right? Like, because it's not like I got my brown belt and now I'm good and I can go like never train ever again. It's like I have to consistently earn my brown belt every time. Because when you roll with a brown belt, you have an expectation, right? Like you have an expectation of what does that brown belt roll like, and I have to live up to that expectation every single roll now. I can't let myself. It's funny because I'm all like, purple belt was my mad scientist era where I'm just like, see if this works, see if this works. And now brown belt, it's like, nah, I got to use the stuff that I know works from my purple belt days, right? Um, and just hone it from there, right? Um, yeah, yeah. So you got to make it work. You got to make it matter. Definitely.
So my head was a little, I'm not gonna say swollen, but
Yeah.
I thought that I was better than
Hmm.
what I really am. I've been a purple belt. I think we're on almost a year. Definitely a year, but I was a blue belt for so long. Like
Hmm.
I got my blue belt with you guys.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah. I
talking
remember
about when?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I remember
Um,
that.
I get my blue belt with you guys, and then traveling for work, and then the whole 9 yards. It took me about four. I'm gonna say about 4 years before I got my purple.
Hmm.
But in my head, I'm like, I got a lot of years in the game. You're good, Carlos. You're good. You got to keep your
Hmm.
confidence up. You're good. Until like 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
um, I went to another grappling industries.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
figure. And I go to the absolute division, expert.
Hmm.
My opponent is 10th planet, second degree black belt, first degree black belt, Brian
Hmm.
Brown from
Oof.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Absolute monster.
Yeah.
And I got super wrecked, and I said it on the previous, but you don't understand. Like in jiu-jitsu, like we train like you're as good as you against a non-training person.
Hmm.
That's what we train jiu-jitsu for. So if we're ever in a scrap with someone who doesn't know jiu-jitsu, we're supposed to fucking dominate, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
When they know a little bit jujitsu, it's a tougher matchup. If they know
Yeah.
the same jujitsu with you, it's a very harder matchup. And if they know more jujitsu than you, then you already know you're going to be the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
And Brian is just an absolute monster. He's coming on the podcast where we're just trying to get the time together. And I got mauled.
Yeah.
And I had maybe two good things I did that whole match,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
just said to myself, just last. Just
Yeah.
last. Let's last as long as we can.
Yeah.
And he got me with the last 30 seconds. I'm happy about that. I am
Yeah.
super
You
happy
should
about
be.
that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, too, like, because that's the most common pitfall that a lot of people do. And this is what I tell my white belts all the time is before we start class, I go, I want you guys to think of one thing you want to accomplish during this class. Just one. Just one. And then throughout the class, whatever that is, I don't know. It could be you want to learn something new. That it could be just that, but accomplish that. Don't get stuck in the pitfall of being like, I'm a white belt and I started when this guy started and he's better than me right now. He's on his own journey. He's it. So just make it goal based for you. Like you said, you wanted to last. You did. You lasted the entire match up to 30 seconds. The fool couldn't get you. Escape artists never die. Funeral for a friend. Up until 30 seconds, you held him at bay. Like that's what it tells me. Even though he was a monster and he's what, a second degree black belt, right? Like
First or second degree.
for yeah.
Definitely
So
above that
yeah.
black belt and that
And
next tier. I guess that's
hey,
second degree.
nothing. I'm not dissing on him. I'm saying for you, you accomplished what you set out to do. Just last, survive, and you did. So I will say, like, whenever your confidence is in question, you just need to adjust your perspective
Yeah.
because I always do this too. Because
Can
there
you
are
repeat
people.
that? No, no, no. Brr, brr, brr,
Yeah.
brr,
Woo!
brr. Say that one more
Dude,
goddamn
yeah.
time.
When you lose confidence, adjust your perspective. That's it. It's true.
Bars.
Dude,
Bars.
I mean, I'm not kidding you. There's a kid in our gym at Costa Mesa right now, and you should have him on the podcast. He's a great guy. He's a competitor. He's at purple belt, and he is any competition that shows up in California or anywhere near California. He goes to Arizona sometimes too. He'll go. Now, when he rolls against me, it's a completely like it's mismatched. Yes, I'm a brown belt, but he's a competitor. I have a 9 to 5 job. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I have other responsibilities I've got to take care of. I can't just devote myself to it. It's a different journey, right? But I'd never get down on myself anytime he taps me out, which is frequent, right? I can get him too and everything, but it's never here's my brown belt. Like, no, that's not what it is because I earned this brown belt off of what I earned, right? Like, and he's earned his belts off of what he earned. And is that can get so mixed up sometimes when they're like, shoot, like a brown belt tap or got tapped by a blue belt. Does that mean that blue belt needs a brown belt? No,
No.
that's not it at all. That's his journey, right? Um, I've anytime I've ever tapped any black belt, like, and it's happened, I've never been like, give me your black belt, bro.
Never.
It's time,
Because it's
like,
lucky.
yeah,
If not lucky, because they say jujitsu isn't luck. You've
yeah,
trained for a long period of time. You know how the move works. You just grab the
hmm
move. But
yeah,
but to be honest,
yeah.
sometimes it's fucking luck.
Or they just gave you a little bit too much rope.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah,
they
yeah,
they
yeah,
went into the
yeah,
deep waters and they're like, oh well, that's a little bit too deep there,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it happens. But that's the thing though, is like always just adjust your perspective and make a goal based off of what you do, right? Like here's the thing, you're teaching, right? Like you've got all this thing and everything like that. Like I will say, like the next question you were gonna ask is what's the lowest low? And I will say, coming back from the lockdown, that was my lowest low. I had gotten my purple belt and we got locked down a month afterwards. So I was a purple belt for a month and then I didn't train for a whole year. So coming back, I felt like I was a blue belt.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually didn't wear my purple belt rash guards for a whole year because I felt like I didn't deserve it. Like I legit. Yeah, here's the thing though, is like I did like the black suit Spider-Man era. Like I wore nothing but black and I was just like I'm here to just fight my own demons, right? Like just get my own confidence back up. And that was my lowest low was because I was completely not confident in my own. And here's the fucked up part. I'm sorry. Should we cut? Can we cuss? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
curse when the
okay.
fuck you
Well,
want. Fuck that
he,
shit.
well, here's the fucked up part is that the more unconfident I became, the worse I got
Yeah.
because I was like, I can't do this. So then I was telling myself, I can't do this. I'm not good. I'm not good. So then I ended up being a self-fulfilling prophecy and being like, you're not good because you can't tap anybody anymore. These white belts are stomping you because you're beating yourself down too much. But that's the beauty of jujitsu though, is that I didn't give up and I just kept coming. And then I started learning from it where it was impossible for those situations to happen again. Cause I was learning on the fly, like, hey, no, that's not acceptable. I'm not gonna let that happen anymore. Um, so yeah, I would say that was my lowest of lows for sure. But I got out of it. And I became better for it.
Sean freaking Ryan, man. Dude, this is again, and I know the last few podcasts I've say that this is nostalgia, but it really, really, really is because like all you guys really put the fire in me to continue jujitsu, to continue the path, to work. Y'all helped me
Mhm.
lose weight. Y'all gave me confidence. Yeah, like I walked out of Orange a brand new person.
Mhm.
I will say that. So this is the part of the pod where
Mhm.
I ask a funny fucking question. It's jujitsu related
Okay.
and it can be training partners.
Okay. Okay.
Have you ever called someone out in
Mhm.
jujitsu and paid the ultimate price with an L?
Man, so that one's a hard question for me because I notoriously shit talk while I'm rolling. Like while I'm rolling, I am lighting you up. Like and especially if we're chill, you know what I mean? Like I won't do that to someone that's starting out or anything. But if I know you, like if me and you are rolling, bro, I am talking so much shit to you while we're doing. I'm like, hey. watch out, I'm gonna toe hold you. I'm gonna watch out, and then I'll grab your foot. I'm like, I told you to watch out, fool. Come on, man. Like, let's go, let's go. So of course I've called people out and they've just absolutely wrecked me. And I'll be like, I gave you that. And then we'll just keep going, like so
Which one was the most infamous one?
gosh, oh man. I would honestly, anytime, anytime Wes and I, because Wes and I,
He's
if you didn't know we were friends, you would have thought that we hated each other because I'll literally tell him before class, I'll be like, I'm gonna fucking kill you tonight. Like, I hope you've made your arrangements. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, or I'll be all like, hey, can you move out of my parking spot? Because it's mine tonight. Like, I'm going to kill you. And he'll come right back after me and be like, bro, what what are you gonna do, man? Like, I've already got the shovel. I'm gonna go bury you out back. Like, that's what it is. So, and of course, it doesn't usually end well good for me if I'm rolling against Wes. Like, that
Wes is
fool
really
will
good.
this
Wes
this
is
fool will
really good.
legit like pick me up and throw me across the gym. Like, he will literally be like, "Here we go, Sean," and he'll throw me and hit me against the wall. Like, that's what he'll do. And everyone's like, "Sean, why do you do this to yourself?" And I'm like, "It just makes me better. Like, it just makes me better. Fuck him. I hate him, but I love him to death. Like, I want him dead, though. I really do. I'll say that on record. I want Wes dead. And it's by my hands. Um, yeah, yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is. And he'll love me for it. He'll love me for it. I know it.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's good. Shout out to Coach West. We got to redo our episode. The audio was just, I don't know, my mic crapped out. I got to redo it. And I know you got training to do, so I don't
Mhm.
want to take too much of your time. Do you have anything coming up, Mr. Sean?
Honestly, for right now, no. But I will say, if you are in the Orange County area, definitely look up 10th Planet. Every gym in Orange County is definitely a great gym to come in. I'm at Costa Mesa and Irvine. So if you go to any of those two gyms, you'll see me and I'll be the first one to shake your hand, just like we did, right? Like,
Yep. Yep.
honestly, like, I'm all about everyone coming into jujitsu and having a good time. If if you're feeling like you're too big, you're too small, I don't care. Like, I'll roll with you. I'm not one of those people, and I'll make it a fun roll. So yeah, I would say that. Anybody that has a competition coming up and needs a commentary, holler at me.
There you go.
Um, but yeah, that's it.
Anything you would like to shout out? Any sponsors, charities, anything in
Um,
particular?
well, I will say Jim Hippie is my friend's Rhodes company. It's a great company. She's all about clothing, and it's funny. It's a cannabis company, and I don't use it. I don't use cannabis at all. I don't do any of that stuff. But yeah, hey, she's a great person. So hit her up, Rhodes Head BJJ. You should have her on the podcast. She's a great person. But yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, Jim Hippie. Yeah.
Jim Hippie. Everybody, episode 5 with Mr. Sean Ryan on the Grindin' Jiu Jitsu podcast. Once again, please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to help the pod with some extra equipment, please Cash App at CTech, CEETECH. Please look out for Sean on Instagram. I believe it's at casually Sean.
Sean Ryan. Yeah, casually
Oh,
Sean Ryan.
casually,
Yep.
casually, Sean Ryan. I'll be putting it in the info regardless. Mr. Ryan, thank you so much for the pod.
Dude, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Let's go, everyone. Uh, I'm gonna stop the pod. You stay on because I
Yep.
gotta. I wanna talk a little bit more real quick. Later, everyone.